What is up? Welcome to the N1 Fitness Podcast. Today we are chatting about meal plans and why they don't work for the vast majority of folks in terms of sustainable fat loss success. We're also going to cover how I structure my clients' programs and why I think that they are a better solution than meal plans are if you are after maintainable fat loss as well as improved health. First of all, what is a meal plan? A meal plan is a fixed set of meals that you eat every single day. For example, breakfast is 3 eggs, half a cup of oatmeal, and 1 cup of berries. Lunch is 6 ounces of chicken breast, half a cup of rice, and some broccoli. Your afternoon snack is 1 apple and 10 almonds. Dinner is 5 ounces of salmon, 200 grams of potato, and asparagus. Now that's just a random example that I threw together off the top of my head, but you get the idea. Now, what are the downsides of following a meal plan approach like this one? One obvious thing is flexibility, right? And that was probably the first thing that popped into your head because having the exact same meals day in and day out gets repetitive real fast. Now, you may be someone that actually likes eating the same thing every day because it's so simple and you know exactly what to shop for, cook, and eat. But if you want to lose fat and actually keep it off, the question to ask yourself is, are you really going to eat chicken breast, rice, and broccoli for lunch for the rest of your life? What if you want a sandwich for lunch? Or what if instead of eggs and oatmeal, you want some yogurt, berries, and nut butter for breakfast? Meal plans leave a lot to be desired on the flexibility front. The second downside to meal plans are the potential that they create for nutrient deficiencies, just because you are eating the same thing every single day. Now, to be fair, nutrient deficiencies do not happen overnight, meaning they take time to develop. Also, there are fringe exceptions to this rule. For example, maybe the foods that your meal plan has in it just happen to be the perfect blend of nutrients that you need. And maybe you even change the foods around every month or two to avoid the nutrient deficiency issue. That is possible. It's just wildly unlikely to be the case. The next downside is another flexibility-ish factor, and it's eating out. With such a rigid approach, it makes eating out kind of tough. Now, if your goal is fat loss and or improving your health, you do not want to be eating out for every meal. However, mixing in some restaurant meals here and there is a super enjoyable part of life, and I encourage my clients not to live a hermit-like lifestyle because that's just not realistic for most folks long term. Another huge downside in terms of following a meal plan is that it doesn't really teach you about nutrition as a whole because there are so few foods that are incorporated. For example, in our mock meal plan, we've got eggs, chicken, and salmon included as protein options. But what about turkey? What about different cuts of steak, pork, game meats, various types of fish, seafood, dairy? What about mixing and matching and combining a few different proteins together at a given meal? I include well over 50 protein options and combinations at every single meal just because why not, right? The same concept applies to carbs. Oatmeal, rice, and potatoes are included in the meal plan example, but what about pasta, yams, sweet potatoes, bread, tortillas, taco shells, and the list goes on. Same dealio on the fat front. Almonds are in there, but what about other nuts? What about nut butters like peanut butter? How about oils? Additional fatty protein options. Things like avocado, coconut milk, butter, cheese. For the love of God, most folks do not want to cut cheese out of their diets completely. And finally, fruit. There are so many different types of amazing fruit that we have access to that aren't blueberries. Don't get me wrong, I love blues. I've crushed many a pint, but I love most fruit. And as they say, variety is the spice of life. Meal plans tend to make food choices quite arbitrary, right? Because why would blueberries be okay, but bananas aren't, for example? Or why are almonds an option, but cashews and walnuts are off the menu? This doesn't exactly teach folks about what a healthful, inclusive diet looks like as a whole, just because it's so unnecessarily limited. Finally, the biggest drawback to meal plans is without a doubt sustainability. And this is the one that really matters. It essentially encompasses everything that we've been chatting about, because if you want to lose fat, you almost certainly want to keep it off. And if the overarching approach that you take to lose the fat isn't sustainable long term, it's not a matter of if you'll regain the weight, it's just a matter of when. Or in other words, how long do you think that you can maintain or basically white knuckle it via this overly restrictive and rigid approach to nutrition? Now, I will say that meal plans can be effective for fat loss in the short term for people who are able to follow them, because they are ridiculously simple, and when you make changes to them, they give you the desired result that you're after because there are so few variables in the mix. For example, if you eat the exact same thing 7 days a week and you modify a few of the portions, that's going to move the needle on your intake without a doubt, because there is so little room for error, right? But the kicker is that in order to take advantage of this, you need to be following it incredibly closely, which is far easier said than done due to its rigidity. 99% of the time, the people that tend to do well with meal plans are bodybuilders and physique folks that are looking to step on stage and compete. And so if that isn't you, an alternative approach is almost certainly going to be a better way to go. Speaking of alternatives, I don't make meal plans for my clients. I create nutrition programs that fit within their specific lifestyle in the most seamless way possible. How does that look? Based on how many meals and snacks that my clients want to eat, I give them tons of protein, carb, fat, and fruit options at every single meal to choose from. Now you might be thinking, well, how do you control all of the variables with so much flexibility and still have your clients lose fat effectively? Good question. I still include specific portions for each food. And so they're able to mix and match proteins, carbs, fat, and fruit choices based on whatever they feel like eating at that specific meal on that specific day. And so there are literally thousands of food combinations that they can make. But because the portions are tailored to their specific needs, we're still able to yield awesome fat loss results and avoid fat loss plateaus by adjusting said portions when and where need be. It's sort of like a hybrid approach between a meal plan and IIFYM, or if it fits your macros. Because for most people, a meal plan is too rigid, but if it fits your macros is actually too flexible, because it can often create decision fatigue and a tendency towards some pretty funky food choices. Now, as a side note, if you'd like me to put together an episode on if it fits your macros, just let me know. So I split the difference, and in my opinion, it's the best of both worlds via getting great results, flexibility, and how sustainability bridges it all together lifestyle-wise. Like I mentioned, a meal plan can work quite well for a competitive bodybuilder or physique competitor looking to step on stage, but I don't really work with those folks. I work with busy professionals that want to look, feel, and perform their best, and that is the majority of the world. Most people just don't want to shave their entire bodies, use fake tanner, and parade on stage in a tiny little man thong or bikini. Now, if you do, no judgment, and a meal plan might be a good fit for you. But if you don't, it's probably not. So how can you use this information to your advantage in terms of looking, feeling, and performing your best? I would recommend constantly checking in with yourself and contemplating, is the approach that I am taking right now sustainable for me? Can I see myself eating this way in a month, in 6 months, a year, 6 years? And just to be clear, if your goal is fat loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. However, once you reach your ideal weight, you can move into maintenance mode and eat more calories because the fat loss process or phase is then over. And so I don't mean, can you see yourself sustaining a calorie deficit for a year or 6 years because you'd wither away to nothing and die. I mean, is the overall approach that you're taking sustainable for you? That is the key, because the quote unquote perfect plan is only perfect if you can follow it, right? If your goal is to save money for a down payment on a home or a big trip, and your plan is to save $5,000 per month and you make $6,000, well, chances are your expenses are more than $1,000 monthly. And so it's important that we're able to actually follow the strategy that we put in place. A sustainable nutrition approach within a lifestyle context that fits you as a specific individual and takes your priorities into account. That is the key. Personalized nutrition for the win. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. On Instagram, I'm at n1fitness. On TikTok, I'm at the n1fitness. And on YouTube, I am at marcusadu/n1fitness. Feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, if you'd like to, of course. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this meal plan episode useful, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.